What is going on, everybody? Today's topic of conversation is this. Just say what you want to say. How hard is that? So hard that I had to bring in a special guest once again, my man Brett Brown from BNG NYC. That's got a nice ring to it. .com. What is going on?
Hey man, not much, dude. Just busy. Busy end of the year.
Yeah, I believe it. Listen, man. When we talk offline, I'm like, how the hell does he get all this shit done in the time that he has with two kids, all under the age of 3?
Yeah, the trick is just don't sleep. It's just let your body hate you. And yeah, it's I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that. That's a topic for a different day.
Well, the cool thing is you get it done. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So real quick, for those folks that forget who Brett Brown is, Brett Brown has been on the show once before. Had a really great episode talking about your 6 truths in branding and in business. Just real quick, 60 seconds, give them a background of, your expertise, your authority.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I've been in advertising for advertising creative for over 15 years, worked on brands of all shapes and sizes. Yeah, been really fortunate to have done work that's, been done all over the world, and also doing local startups and branding for those. So kind of seeing things from a lot of different angles. Worked on both art, copy, and creative direction side, along with like a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff like
Can you share a couple of brands that you have worked on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess some of the ones people heard of, like I don't know, Pepsi and Honda and Acura and I don't know, stuff like that.
You know what I love about you? You hate name dropping.
Well, I feel like it's such a douche move, right? Like it's like not I don't know how family friendly this podcast is, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's also it gets outside of the point. Like it's, like the truth is,
there's a time
there's a time and a place, but it's the same problems that affect a global brand for a Super Bowl spot, and I think that's probably what we're going to talk about today. But the same problems that affect a globally recognized brand, like Honda or Toyota or something like that. Like they also affect a startup, like a tech startup, that's still pre-A, like it's the same. They have the same struggles. It's just different scales,
Yeah.
Different media buys too, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, let's get into the issues, right? The negative impact that this particular problem has on people and businesses. When we don't just say what we want to say, whether it be in our advertising, whether it be in our personal lives or in our marketing or on social media. So there's a few things that we sort of hashed out before we went live that we want to address. So let's tackle those.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like one of the most common themes whenever dealing with a new business, especially, but even with a bigger business, but dealing with a new business especially, is a lot of people struggle with this whole like brand strategy, and people spend a ton of money going through all this research and insights and all these things, and it's like there's still a main struggle a lot of times, even beyond that, of like just people understanding what they're trying to say, like what they're trying to communicate to the world around them, And
well,
so,
when we don't get to it, we may potentially come across as inauthentic or disingenuous.
Yeah, totally. I mean, well, yeah, like that's, and so, okay, so as a brand, when you don't know what you're trying to say, or even at a campaign level, like you end up doing marketing or just making things for the sake of making things, And so that's where it's like, oh, cool. Like it's a fun story, but it has nothing to do with whatever the truth of that brand is. Or, I mean, especially during social movements, like whenever the world makes progress, Black Lives Matter and election cycles, COVID, like all these things, like systemic prejudices and racism, like all these things that happen. Like there's only a handful of brands out there who know what they're trying to say as a business and as a brand, or like they're humans first, and it doesn't feel disingenuous and inauthentic when like Nike has a voice, even though they're still working on their own corporate issues in Oregon. But it's also why like so many other brands, like a great example is Amazon and Walmart. When COVID happened, they both made ads supporting their workers, but it had no basis in truth. Like it's so counterintuitive to what they're trying to say, and so it's just like it immediately everybody called BS on it.
Yep.
Yeah,
would you say this, when you don't say what you just want to say and you come across inauthentic or disingenuous, could this potentially affect your pocketbook or revenues, and or our most valuable asset, our time?
Yeah, totally. I think from a marketing standpoint, probably the biggest trap you fall into is like being forgettable. So like when you don't know you're trying to say at a campaign level or just from a messaging level, like a brand level, it's like it's where we get those like even big Super Bowl spots there. It's like, oh, I love the one with like the hamsters being launched against the wall, that crazy thing. And it's nobody remembers who it's for, because it was ultimately not born out of the brand didn't know what it was trying to say. So the brief was probably something like, oh, we just want to do something wacky and crazy for a Super Bowl spot. Blue sky, just do anything, but just don't worry about the brand. But yeah, from a pocketbook standpoint, you can end up wasting a lot of time, especially as a new business, because like larger businesses that they have the benefit of having existed in the world for a long time. Like even the first few campaigns from like even the first few ads from legendary campaigns isn't always the best work. Sometimes it takes a while to get traction with a message and get people to understand a thing. But yeah, it's like if you don't know what you're trying to say at a business level, you can waste a lot of time going like, oh, well, I don't know the right answer, but I know that's not it. Because you're not briefing the teams properly. You're not giving people enough to work with. And also like businesses do it a lot too, where it's if you don't know what you're trying to say or do and you don't really understand that, then you can also waste a lot of time going in the wrong direction, like and that's brutal for a smaller business, like especially during times like this where the future is so uncertain. But it's the future's always uncertain, but I mean it's like you never want to waste all that time and potential.
Every minute counts, every buck counts. We work hard for our money. We want it to give us the best bang for the buck. We want to get the best bang for the buck we possibly can. So I totally get it. And I totally get it. But I like what you said about being forgettable. Like, man, what's worse than that as a business? Like, well, because when you're that, like, forget about the money, forget about wasting time. Like, you're fighting obscurity now, and that's a demon in itself.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too, is like as much as you can have like a ton of fun doing, like doing really great work out in the world and just making great products and having great personality behind it. It's if you don't ultimately know what you're trying to say, then yeah, like you run the risk of like spending all that time and money to ultimately not matter,
Right.
I mean, and then also like you see it a lot with like how I used to delineate advertising and marketing, right? Like it's like I always considered advertising more story driven and marketing is kind of like this bigger picture, less story, more data driven side of things. But yeah, it's there's businesses out there, without naming names, but like you see it a lot in like banks. Like banks will do so much work to be forgettable. like, like they're like they don't want to rock the boat. They just want to put their logo on the side of every building, in a
Yeah.
major metropolitan area. But it's like, yeah, dude, like that's such a waste.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about how we fix this problem. How do we turn this around and give business owners some tactical, this is what we need to start focusing in on to just get you out there saying what you want to say and just making that direct impact and boom, getting it done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, I can tell you the way that we do it at B&G, and the way I've always done it is it's deceptively simple. Like it seems really simple on its surface, and you have to be really rigid to it. But um, yeah, I mean, the first thing to know is that just like all strategy is just truth. That's why we talked about those core truths,
Mm.
and sort of those 6 things we talked about last time tend to be like the easiest ways in for good storytelling to happen. And so when you know all of those 6 things from a brand standpoint, you tend to build a business and a brand and products and everything with all those narratives baked into it, so that everything you do helps tell your story. But ultimately, you want to distill all of that truth, like whatever your truth is, you want to find that, and then you want to put that. This is where I say the exercise is you want to put it into one sentence, you know?
Without the
And
word what? Without the word what?
yeah, so this is where it's tough. So you want to put it into one sentence without the word and,
Mm.
and like, without the word and in it. And it tends to be the hardest thing of just, like, what are you trying to say? What do you want to communicate to the outside world? And then say that without saying the word and. You can pick one thing, all the other ands and everything else, like those can be proof points later, but yeah, put it in one sentence, and
Got it.
that's, yeah. And
With that sentence, you're doing what? You're like, what are you asking yourself? So the way I was taught, it was, what are you trying to do, and what do you want other people to do?
yeah, yes, I mean, so that's another way of thinking about it. Like if you're struggling with what am I trying to say, you can also say, what are you trying to do? What do you want other people to do? It's yeah, just like what change you're trying to make in the world. But it's yeah, it's that whole thing of like, what are you trying to say here? What are you trying to do here? Yeah, what are you trying to do? What do you want other people to do? That can be a brand level thing, but ultimately those are good routes to find what you're trying to say. So like, okay, Halo Top. I want people to buy ice cream as health food. Okay, cool. So that's what you're trying to do. But really, so if that's what we're trying to do, what are you trying to say? Oh, I ice cream can taste like ice cream, but it can still be healthy. You know, like,
You're so good at those
and
one-liners, bro.
so, but like that's when you say like brand strategy as business strategy, as marketing strategy, all those things at the same time. Like that single sentence of what you're trying to communicate is what you build a business around. Like
Mm.
we call those like the North Star. It's this thing that you're always like always in service to, like this guiding light.
Mm.
But like North Star is unique to us. Like again, it's this is your North Star. Like it's a common phrase, but that's the language we use just because I like the idea that it's a compelling force. It's a guiding light. It's what you follow, and it's something you never really reach. That makes a lot of sense to me.
So now let me
So
let's,
that's
let's go ahead. I'm
yeah.
sorry. I don't mean to
Oh no,
cut
I
you
was just saying, yeah, no, that's the analogy we use. But yeah,
off.
it's yeah, there's a ton of them of like, it's the horizon line, it's that strategy statement,
Mm.
it's uh yeah, it's just it's one sentence without the word and in it that says what you're trying to say.
Boom. So that's what we need to focus in on. And now when we
Yeah.
do that, right away, I could start to feel more focus, more efficiency. What else?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like certainly, you have that focus. So you have that focus now, and so you're more efficient as a business. Which, like, Your marketing is more efficient because you get to better ideas, and you get to good briefs and strategic territories faster. Um, from a business standpoint, you're more efficient because your products are all informed by that narrative. And yeah, your business practices too. Like you have a tool to really just succinctly say, like, yeah, this is my role in the world. This is what I'm trying to say. And so you don't end up wasting a ton of time, And so that's, and it's like ultimately more than time, you don't end up wasting opportunities, like the potential to create culture, right? Like, because you're just living your truth, like again, like Apple knows what they're trying to say, Nike, all these brands that people would consider, some of the world's best brands, they know who they are. So they have all this other truths, but like they know what they're trying to say to the world. They know what they're trying to say, so they can enter into any conversation with confidence, and they come across, they solve those problems you talked about of like disingenuous. They come across as authentic, like they actually care about the thing that they're in, like even a brand like Ben and Jerry's that has an opinion on, that has an opinion on politics, that has an opinion on, like LGBTQ plus rights, like all these things, and they just state, and they can create culture, and they can create social change, and they can, be a part of it with like Netflix and Chilled. Like they can do all of these things at the same time, and not one of them feels, inauthentic to them. It doesn't ring untrue. You're like, oh yeah, no, this brand stands for that, that whole like positivity, like they know their role in the world,
and it's clear as day.
Yeah.
So what do we do? What do we tell our audience today to practice this? So we came up with something a little offline here, that'll be fun. So how we want you to practice this one sentence without an and in it to really get to the point of what you're trying to say. We want you to tweet it at us.
Yeah.
At the brand DR, at BNG NYC, and practice. Yeah. And hit hashtag Brand Doctor Podcast, so we know that that's where you heard this from. And start practicing this, because I can promise you, you get better at this, guys, and it's gonna sharpen you up like you would not believe. You would not believe. Yeah. You're gonna be saving a lot more time. You're gonna be saving a lot more money. You're gonna be making a larger impact. You're going to be resonating with your audience. You're going to be connecting with them emotionally. There's so many benefits here that is going to help you design and build the business that you're proud of, that you want. So
it also gives you the tools to be in charge of how your business grows. Like again, think of it as a couple levels. Like you want this as at the brand level, like what your business is trying to say and do in the world, but also at the campaign level, so whenever you're doing, like, if you're a small business or medium business, if you're a big business and you're doing social stuff, like, okay, cool. COVID happened. Looks like we're in for another winter of COVID. What do we want to say here? And put that in a sentence without the word "and" in it, right? Like it's harder than it seems, but when you start doing that, you really do. It's the master key. You unlock such simplicity and power in it, because you picked like, oh, this is the most important thing I need to communicate. This is what rings true. This is my take on it, and that's how you start building a business that's human, because the business knows what it's trying to say and do in the world. And so, and the reason for a tweet too is because take out all the descriptors, like all the LY words, like, we're the most authentically, cheerfully, like all those words
that's cheating, in my opinion.
Yeah, where you try to cheat for all those things. The thing we always say around here is a phrase I love is like, say it like a cowboy. Just say it really simple, say it plain. This isn't the time to be a copywriter. Just say it like a person. Like say it, be human, and just say what you're trying to say.
Dude, Brett, my man. Once again, Brett Brown from BNG NYC. I got to thank you for your insights. Got to thank you for your wisdom.
Dude, always a pleasure.
Love having you on the show, dude. Every time I talk to you, I learn something new, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
guys, there you have it. Just say what you want to freaking say. We gave you a little framework to play around with to get this refined for you, get this dialed in for you so that you can start attracting the right people. And that's the bottom line. So have an amazing day, guys, and we will catch you on the next episode real soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.